Prince of Persia Warrior Within is my personal favourite game in the Sands of Time trilogy. The music, the environment and the combat are different from the Sands of Time, and I found the combat a much better improvement as it's much less repetitive. The main game weapons stand out just as much as the sword from the Sands of Time, so I figured it's time to make the swords from Warrior Within. I found making this weapon fairly easy and enjoyable. For this video, and the last two swords are the only ones that I've tried to make before, so I felt pretty confident what I was going to do. I found this section of the game pretty cool, set on a boat out at sea, but going from the Sands of Time combat at a young age, this was a bit of a learning curve I had. I also like the scenery for it. The spider sword is stuck with you for a good amount of time, but it's very weak, so it feels like fights are drawn out unless using glitches to get past enemies or areas of the map. I found the top section tricky to get because of the length and width had to be right, but aside from that I had no issues with it and it was easy to make. I'd say this sword was the trickiest that I found to make out of the lot. I feel like if I tried to do it again, I could make it a tad better, but choosing where to stop, where the blade starts and then it goes into the handle, and because it was so fidgety was the issues I faced when making it. Making the swords bigger would be a much better and easier improvement for me to make the things that I do, because then when they're bigger in scale, they're not so small and fidgety, so I can make much more finer details onto the things that I do. I like how in this part of the game it gives you two paths to choose from, even though it makes no difference to how the game plays out. It reminds me of Ratchet & Clank a bit, where you have multiple paths for certain levels in the game, and this is one of the only areas I can think where you actually have an option to go left or right. I was a little worried when doing the spikes on the edge of the blade, but if I'd have made this sword bigger, it would have been an improvement I could have done to make the overall look of the sword more like the original from the game. Overall though, I was happy with the outcome. The piece just above the hilt, I didn't really know what to do because it was so small, so I've kind of just done my own thing for that. When I was younger and you're in the boss fight after the weapon breaks and you're on the run, it felt like one of the scariest moments of the game because I felt like I had to run from all the sand creatures and the beast that was chasing you. It's one of my favourite sections of the game. I always do remember feeling very scared when I was playing it at a young age though. The design of this sword is one of my favourites of all weapons I've come across in games. I don't know why, it's just kind of stuck with me throughout the years. Just like I said a few moments ago though, this is one I've had practice with over the years, so I felt super confident when it came to actually me making the weapon. And every time I see it, it just reminds me of the section where you actually obtain it. And it reminds me of the work in progress video where you can just watch it at any point in the game. When I first got to this point, I found the game difficult because there was no health pickups for a large amount of time, and the enemies, or well, at least the 4 executioners that pop up when you're in this section, they're pretty tanky, but it's a section of the game that I really enjoy. I also think that this sword looks the most identical to its counterpart that I tried to make it from. So with this one, it's the weakest replica of the weapons that I tried to make, and an improvement here would have been making it bigger, so I could add in a few more details to make it more eye-catching and stand out. I like how when you're able to obtain the water sword, you can pick it up at any time whenever you get back to the hourglass, a second or third time on your arrival there. One thing I've noticed with this sword though is that it makes the speed at which you can swing your weapon slower, but it's the strongest minigame weapon, so it is a pretty fair trade-off in my own opinion. Having to get all the life upgrades isn't much of a hassle because there's only one you actually have to backtrack for. However, there's no guides for it when I was playing the game at the time, and if it wasn't for me having access to the internet, I wouldn't have been able to actually get this here. I was happy enough with the outcome, but I would like to try it again at some point. Well, that's the end of the video. Let me know some of your favourite sections from the games. One of my favourite sections from the game is when you actually obtain the mask and then you're just constantly going forward and you're going over areas that you've been to before in the island, but it's something to look forward to when I'm playing it, just like whenever you get the scorpion sword. And I think it's because whenever you have the mask, your sands regenerate, so you can just have a lot more fun with all of that. Next video I'm going to do is probably going to be the rhino from Wrestling, I think, but that's all I have for now. I'll see you around.